I'm Roy from Roy's Garage. Today I'm going to be working on a 2013 Toyota Corolla 1.8 liter automatic. I'm going to show you how to replace the driver's side front, the left front strut assembly. These are the tools I'm going to be using today to do this job. This is a dead blow rubber mallet, 3-pound sledgehammer, 1/2-inch drive impact, 30mm socket, 12-point, 22mm socket, 17mm socket, 3/8 impact, 1/4-inch socket, water pump plier, 22mm wrench, 17mm wrench, 14mm wrench, another 14mm wrench. This is my punch, small flat tip screwdriver, penetrating oil, anti-seize, my camber gauge. This is the part I'm going to be using today to do this job. This is a driver's side front, left front loaded strut assembly. Okay, this strut is leaking fluid. There's a seal up over here. The seal is worn out, so now the oil is all coming out and it's all going down the strut. Your strut's supposed to be dry, but if you got a strut that's wet, you got to replace it. Okay, first I'm going to be putting on 2 nuts. What I'm going to do is I'm going to secure the rotor to the hub. So I'm going to shoot some penetrating oil on my axle nut. So I'm going to be removing the axle nut. This is an option. So I'm going to be hammering this axle in. So now I'm going to be removing the sway bar link. Okay, so I'm going to be removing the ABS and the brake hose mount. So I'm going to be removing this mount that holds the ABS wire. Okay, so first you make sure your steering wheel is straight. Then I'm going to be using my steering wheel jack to just hold it in place so it doesn't turn. Okay, so I'm going to be putting on my camber gauge. This is an option. And I'm going to zero it out. So then that way when I put it back, I can put it back as close as possible to the 0. So you can take it to the alignment shop. So I'm going to be removing these 2 bolts. So I took off the axle nut. So now I can slide the axle towards the inside. The reason why I took off the axle nut is if you don't, sometimes you can pull the axle out of the inner joint. And when that happens, it's very, very hard to put that joint back in. So I usually take the nut off and slide this axle towards the inside. Yeah. So I positioned a jack underneath my rotor just so it holds it up a little. Now we're going to go to the top and disconnect the upper strut. Okay, so I'm going to be removing these 3 bolts. This plastic piece, I just lifted it up and I just put my socket just to hold it up so I can get access to it. So we're going to be removing these 3 bolts. Okay, so I'm going to lower my jack down a little to lower the struts down so I can get this nut out. So I'm going to be removing this last bolt. Now we can remove the strut. Okay, so I'm going to be putting on my new strut assembly. Okay, so I'm going to be tightening up these 3 bolts. Don't tighten up all the way. Okay, that should be good enough. So we're going to be attaching the spindle to the strut. Okay, so now I can remove the jack. So now we're going to be finishing tightening it up. So I need more leverage to tighten the bolts. So I'm going to be using a 14mm wrench and a 17mm wrench. And I'm going to lock this thing together and I'm going to be tightening it up. Get a little more leverage. So the original retainer was broken, so I'm going to be putting on another retainer. So I'm going to be putting back my camber gauge right at the top. So now I'm going to kind of move this spindle in and out until I hit the 0 mark. Then I'm going to be tightening up these 2 bolts. That's just so the guy can go to the alignment shop without any problems. So I'm going to be connecting my sway bar link to the strut. So I'm going to be mounting my ABS bracket and my brake hose bracket. So this is the old strut. So I'm going to be transferring this clip for the ABS wire to the new strut. So I'm going to be installing my axle nut. I'll just put a little anti-seize around the axle. Put the nut on. Okay, with my center punch, I'm going to stake it so it doesn't loosen up. So that's how you replace a driver's side front, left front loaded strut assembly. If you have any questions, comment below. Don't forget to subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and I see you in the next video. Aloha.